You're ready. Aha. Am yes, thank you. Okay. Morning, everybody. Um, before I get into anything else, we're already 10 minutes behind. Nugam Rose is gonna pray for us.
Miyasan ga Kyoto tahto ga pieg. And I imagine that, but above all, I know how to speak Cree because all the elders, they'll learn about your Cree, know how to talk Cree. Anyway, I am, but I'm not going to get into it now because last back the hurt that we went through. So it's, you'll think about all the survivors from my dad went to school in a residential school because my grandma was a teacher as well. But with teaching you guys no more. But the little from my grandma, they knew how to read and write. And these are the things we have to think about we went through in residential schools. Nusim here, Miss will tell you more about it. Except
I'm gonna take a step back because I've been here now for, I think we're going in our 5th week. Okay. Um, when I first came to school here, when I first came to school here, when I first started as your principal, I just observed, I watched you, I was watching you guys, and I was trying to remember who this kid was, who that kid was, because you all, I remember you most young one. You know, I was there when you guys were just little, and now you're here. And in this month, I've noticed some, I don't even want, I guess, that run prevalent quickly, that this school, if nothing is done, we're going to be in crisis. That was scary. That was scary. And goodness, all the people taking off and doing this and doing that and getting you guys in the class month. to finally get you guys going. The people who would try to talk back to me when I was just trying to figure you out, you know. I don't come here to fight. I don't come here to fight. That's not what I want to do. I'm here to help. Okay, I'm here to help you guys. And this is one way we're going to do it is by having this workshop. I'm going to do a little presentation here and I'm going to go deeper in on it. Because you know what? The drugs, the alcohol, the gangs, it's here. It runs in our community and it runs in our blood. So what I want to do, I went on Monday, and then we had an elder's funeral, and she was a resident. The kids at Bewa Senagwan, the elder that we buried on Monday. That was a few years back. It ended up happening today. I had departments dropping out, which is fine. What I said was, I'm not going to stop. We have to do this. We have to do this to be done. Because what you're going to walk away today are strategies. You're going to learn about the residential schools. We're going to learn about what we can do to help ourselves. Healing and moving forward. That's the theme. Okay? Because I see it here. Everything that happened to our elders, chaos, long time ago, it's here. It's in our community. And if you guys walk away with one thing to help yourself type of way, then our job is done. Okay, and all our presenters here, I don't need to bring in outside people when we have everybody in our community. So if at any time today you feel triggered, I have our counselors. Our counselors, you just walk, let them know. Just take off, because we're make sure you write your name on your cards. Okay, so we're gonna start off here. We'll get our, where are they? Where are our boys? Already did a call with them, and then we're gonna get straight into my presentation. Then I have other, and then my sister is coming. Her name is Lindsay. She's younger than me, but honestly, she acts older than me, way more mature than me, and she's one of my people who has helped me on my healing journey. She's one of my go-to people. Okay, we look the same. And then we're going to have lunch break, and then we're going to do healing through ceremonies and culture with Rhonda Lewis, healing through nutrition, health, and sports with Ken and Trista. We're going to have a break. Every time you come in from your break, have your punch card. That last time when we come in, you're going to put them in a box, and then we're going to do our draws. These are our draws right here. All right? And then I have my brother, Brian Misto. He's going to talk about addictions, and then the RCMP should be here with a cyberbullying presentation, and we're going to have our draws. Okay, drum group, bust a mic. Are you guys ready? I did protocol with them. It's up to you guys if you want to stand or not. It's up to you guys. I'm not going to force you, so we're going to start. They're shy. They're shy. Yes. I don't know. It's up to you guys. I don't know. Thank you, boys. You know what? If this happened on the day we're supposed to, we'd have way more. We have a real big drum group, and they just sound so good during live. It's so good to hear. So I asked them to do an honor song. Yes? Sesqua, hold on. I got to do one. I got to do protocol. think they're gonna do the morning song, the one we play Tuesdays and Thursdays. Any song is fine, okay? Doesn't matter. Hi, hi. So beautiful. Boys, go put your drums away and get back in here. All right, guys. There, make your way if you want to come in before I start. Come on in. Hurry up. Okay, we're going to go straight in. Yep. Straight into my Miss Dillon. Make sure those boys get cards and get them punched, please. All right. So, oh, I got a clicker here. All right. Okay. I'll try to do this as fast as I can. What time? 11:12. What time am I supposed to be done? 25? Okay. All right. So, believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, I just started my healing journey within the last like 4 years. Okay. And then how I started my healing journey was learning. I started learning. I started looking back to my. One of the biggest things why we had residential schools, and I will talk about that later, and I hope we have more elders coming. Okay? The biggest thing that came from them was probably trauma. Okay? So we're going to talk about the history of trauma. The history of trauma. What is trauma? Trauma is an injury, such as a wound to living tissue caused by an extrinsic agent. It's a disordered psychic or behavioral state resulting from severe mental or emotional stress or physical injury. It's an emotional upset. So, an agent, force, or mechanism that causes trauma. All right? We're going to link trauma to our history as Nehiyawak, First Nation people. All right? You guys probably learned about this. I never learned about this in high school. I did not learn about residential schools in high school. I learned about it when I did not even my it wasn't until I took my master's that I was started learning about this. And I've had my master's now for 5 years. I started my healing journey when I started learning about this stuff within the past years. Okay? So I just highlighted here the real important words that I want you guys to know. Okay? In this case for Orange T-shirt Day, for Every Child National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, who is the intrinsic agent, force, or mechanism that caused trauma to First Nations people? You guys probably already know that. Who? Who was it? But who ran the residential schools? Not Munoz. Okay. It was basically through the churches by the government, right? Yep. Okay. How was the injury severe mental or emotional stress done to First Nation people? Through the residential schools, through the 60s scoop, through the child welfare system. It's not just the residential schools. Everybody always says, residential schools. It's more than that. They've done many, many, many things, forms of colonization to our people. Okay? It's not just residential schools. Does this trauma continue to affect First Nations people? Yep. And we're going to learn how. Okay? Oh, yeah, I got the clicker. I was going to say, come on, Mr. Hart. Objectives of trauma. There's a reason why. They didn't do it for nothing. Okay? Why? Anybody want to guess? Any ideas? How come? I heard assimilation right here. To erase our English. Erase our Cree. Good guesses. I'm going to list them all right here. Listen. The objectives were to lose our traditional territories and land, to displace us. We weren't in Onion Lake. We were everywhere across Canada. Everywhere, even in the United States. In Onion Lake. We were everywhere. We lived off. Being displaced, we had a sense of our belonging. The loss of the food. You all know what happened with the buffalo, the hunting as well, and the fishing. The traditional governance system. We never used to have to vote for chief and council. Never. It was whoever was the chief, it was hereditary. Their kid, their kid, their kid, their kid, their kid. That's how it went a long time ago. We never had votes. That was brought in. That's a Western system. Okay? The loss of kinship. We already talked to you guys about that this year. Who is related to who and how? Very important. Along with that goes the loss of parenting skills. And I want to say a lot of our kids already, they're being affected that way. All right? The loss of the language. Moinita ne. Can't speak even to understand it. The basics. Gugam said she encourages you guys to do that. Learn it, even just to understand it. Practice it every single day. That's why I talk on our announcements. And I say our date in Cree. I say our virtue in Cree. I have a Cree word of the day. That's why. Loss of ceremonies and practices. One of the big things. When they used to practice ceremonies, they used to have to hide to do it. And if they got caught, they'd go to jail. You know, now it's coming back. Loss of connection to the ancestors. Our ceremonies is our connection to our ancestors, and that's what we're losing as well. I want you guys to understand that ceremonies are a direct link to our ancestors. All right? And then the loss of our identity for generations, which is intergenerational trauma. Intergenerational trauma. And this is what I told, had to tell some of my kids. We are not any other race. We're Nehios. Even to say First Nations, we're Nehios. There's a special way to even translate that word. It's the four beings, the four parts of our beings. Okay? What is intergenerational trauma? I found a nice little video. Let's play this. It's about 4 minutes. Oh, Mr. Hart, I need your magic. Can you make it full screen? Real quick. I think so. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it's called. This is just a quick video. Is gonna give you a visual of what I'm talking about, okay? Because I'm and not learn. You're fine. I don't know why it's not playing. It's a dead link, he says. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. Can I go ahead while you work on that? Okay. So basically, okay. You can figure it out there. Generational trauma refers to a trauma that is passed from a trauma survivor to their descendants. It can also be referred to as transgenerational or multi-generational trauma. May experience symptoms, reactions, and psychological effects from trauma experienced by previous generations, not limited to just parents or grandparents. Some of you probably had zapans. Forgetting now, your zapans, your nitanska zapans, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. Okay, we're ready to go? Go for it.
The story of our community.
Okay, you got to be extra quiet as loud as it is.
In fact. We knew who we were and where we belonged. We took care of each other, our land and our waters. We ate food that made us healthy, lived on country and abided by our laws and song lines. Our families, our children were happy, with strong minds and hearts, because they were where they Then everything changed.
Colonization came, bringing wars, disease, famine, violence, and cultural laws, sacred sites, families, and community.
Language, ceremonies, and identity. The very things that tell us who we are and where we belong. And our connections with each other and the land grew weak.
And then, our children were taken from us. They had their names changed and their identities stripped away. They were told that Aboriginal people were bad. Worse still, they were told that their parents and grandparents did not want them.
For years this happened, and those children became known as the stolen generations.
Our children were denied love, emotional and sexual abuse. This left very deep, very complex and very real wounds, leaving scars that are socially, spiritually and collectively.
We were able to parent in our families, survive and thrive for generations. And our culture flowed and healed us in times of hurt.
But since the trauma of colonisation and the stolen generations, sharing our sad stories and having them witness and experience our pain, this is known as intergenerational trauma, and we see symptoms today in broken relationships, disconnected families, violence, suicide, and drug and alcohol.
Where our story ends, we still have minds and hearts, and we still know who we were and where we belong. By creating safe and strong communities together, support culture and building a strength of identity, we can stop the cycle of trauma and bring about positive intergenerational change so that we can continue to thrive for the next 60,000 years. There are simple things that we can all do to help heal our trauma.
Visit healing.org.au to find out more.
Thank you. Someone's Gugum is at the door waving. Yes, put her on the spot. Kira, I think that's your Gugum. All right, going to the right side, humans have survived for thousands of years by evolving the ability to adapt. If you live with chronic stress or have lived through a traumatic event, certain responses activate to help you survive. These are known as trauma responses. Okay. Trauma responses that we live with every day. These are things that I've seen here, and this isn't even everything. Okay, this is what here, but in Onion Lake, depression, a big one, anxiety. So I hear that. I'm having anxiety, I'm having anxiety, I'm having anxiety. I hear that every. I have anxiety and I learned how to deal with it. And mine, by healing, I started getting anxiety. But I learned how to deal with it. Sickness and illness. This is I'm talking about like the cancer and the heart problems, all of that linked directly. Stress, addictive behavior, vaping, the gambling, the drinking, the drugging, all of that. Living what I mean, this is what the school's in, is in survival mode. We need to one way to help us get out. Okay? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Basically, you guys, when somebody approaches you, you're like angry, you run away, you freeze up, or fawning is like when you do whatever somebody says. Well, I did it because they told me to do it. They told me, and you want to do it. You do it just to make people happy when you shouldn't be doing it. So you want to make everybody like you by doing that. That's fawn. Abuse, mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, and they also stated in the video the sexual abuse. Lots of you shut down When we try to talk, you just shut down. You don't say nothing. You don't want to talk. You don't want to figure it out. Right? Yelling. I used to be a yeller, like bad. I yelled all the time. Harm. I see it. I see it. Mood dysregulation. 1 minute you're happy, the next you're sad, the next you're mad, the next you're this, the next you're that, and you don't know how to figure it out. You don't know what's what. Hypervigilance. So that's like you're always on, if that makes sense. You're always like, your guard is always up all the time. Okay? So many, many more. I didn't even talk about the homelessness. I didn't even talk about all these other things that you just can probably think in your head. What other things that we see. Okay? People say that the residential schools don't affect them. Do you hear? This is what we had in Onion Lake. Just in Onion Lake. Every single one of you, go home and ask your Gugums, your Muslims, your Tapans. Were you in residential school? Which one did you go to? There's the first one we had in residential school. I think the kids burnt that down. Back then it was a trend to burn down the schools. Back then. Okay? It was replaced by the second one, St. Anthony's School. Again, Nugam, they burnt that one down. Okay. This one, the third, that one was work. I went to that school. The third St. Anthony's Indian Residential School. And I think that one burnt, but not by kids. It just burnt one day, right? Something happened to it. St. Barnabas. This one is in the, yeah. Isn't that right by your Gugums there? You? Yes, you, yes. The gates are still up when you go there in the back. Okay. This one was right here where the East Central School, East Side store is. That was this one right here, the Anglican ACC they called it, and we called that one RC. And our in their 40s, we went to these schools, but they weren't run by nuns. That's when Onion Lake took over their own education, and we ran our education. And there's still one picture. It still stands on the west side when you're going to the store. You know the church? That little building right beside it, that was a day school. The building right beside it, still standing. That's how residential schools affect our community, and that's why we see what we see, because, and this goes for us, every single one of you sitting here, band members, every single one of us were either a residential school survivor, a survivor's child, a survivor's grandchild, or all three. Every single one of us. Go home and find out. That's your homework. Who? Which side? Your mom's side or your dad's side? Where? Your Gugum, your Muslims? Your Tapans? Find out. That's the homework I give you. This is my personal connection. I'm directly affected by the residential schools. Right? There's my Nugam, my mom's mom. The second, the older girl, she was in there till she was 16, till she was out on her own. And then I asked my other Nugam, she told me that my other Gugum was in this one right here. They lived there in the third one. So that's already on both sides. And then my Muslim also went to residential school. So that's 3 out of 4 of my grandparents that were in residential school. 3 out of 4. Okay. Look at those last names: Muskego, Muskego, Whitstone, Stick, Whitstone, Whitstone, Cardinal. All band members, I'm pretty sure. She stayed there till she was 16. When she came with a family, she was a single mother, had 5 kids, and struggled getting on the table for her. I don't know how she did it, for real. I don't know how she did it, for real. Okay, so I'm gonna finish it. Every single person in Onion Lake is directly connected to residential schools and the intergenerational trauma that is linked to them. However, boys and girls, this is why we're here today. It's up to us to determine how we can continue our lives. Do we allow the trauma to continue to affect us and our children? Do we want to stay here and just be sad about everything that's happening to us? Or do we start our healing journeys and do our best to move past it? Okay, we can stay there, we can cry, we can be sad, but why do we have to stay there? We don't have to stay there. Okay? We need to move past it because there's still children coming. You're all going to have families one day. Have grandkids. What kind of family do you want to bring your kids into? Think about that. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do our best to give you tips and strategies to be able to start your healing journey, because we all deserve to heal. We're not going to stay in the past and talk about that and talk about that. We're going to give you tips and strategies to move forward. When you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling any which way, what can you do to help yourself? That's what we're going to do today. Okay? Because you know what? Our ancestors, they didn't suffer in those schools for us to just be stuck in survival mode, crying around, feeling sorry for ourselves. We have to do something about it. And that's why we're here today. All right? We have one more video we're going to watch. Then I have the next presenter coming. We're going to skip the first one. We'll skip that first one. We're going to go to trauma healing in the brain, because the trauma has an effect on your brain. This is what you're going to learn. All right? Dr. Gabor Mate. Go for it.
So I'm a retired doctor, and I don't work as a doctor anymore. I did work for 20 years in family practice. 7 years I was coordinator of the palliative care unit, looking after terminally ill people in Vancouver Hospital, and for 12 years I worked in Vancouver's downtown east side, looking after people with severe addictions to cocaine, to crystal meth, to opiates like heroin, to alcohol, of course. People dying of HIV, of hepatitis C, and every other disease caused by addictions. And in my practice, I looked after young families, I looked after people of all ages, and I'll tell you what I've learned. The one thing I've learned many things, but the one thing that I can reduce it to or simplify it to is that virtually everything I ever saw, whether it was multiple sclerosis, whether it was depression, whether it was addiction, whether it was ADHD, whether it was colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, you know what it came down to? It came down to what happens in people's childhoods. In other words, the major contributor, I don't say the only, but the major contributing factor, illness, physical illness, whether it's addiction, whether it's behavior problems, what happens to people in the first few years of life. And that may seem like an astonishing statement, and how is this guy going to prove it in the 16 minutes that he's got left? Well, let's give it a try. In the downtown east side, which is Vancouver's drug area, and not only is it Vancouver's drug area, it's also known as North America's most concentrated area of drug use. We have more people there using injecting substances than any other place in North America in a few square block radius. I can tell you that over a 12-year period, I didn't meet a single female patient who had not been sexually abused as a child, not a single male patient who had not been either physically abused or sexually abused or neglected or abandoned in significant ways. And in North America, we like to think of addiction as either a choice that people make, and if they make that choice, then we punish them for it, so we build jails where we keep people who use drugs. Or we see it as a brain disease that's genetically inherited. So if we look at the sad fact that in Canada, 30% of the people in our jails are First Nations origin, where they only make up 4 to 5% of the population, we explain that susceptible to addiction. So it's either we make it into a disease or we make neither is true. It's not a choice. Nobody ever chooses to be an addict, nor is it something that's inherited. We know, for example, that even people that do inherit some genes that are predisposed to addictions, if they're brought up in proper environments, they have no more risk of addiction than anybody else. So it's not ever the genes that cause the addictions, and nobody ever chooses the addiction. What actually happens is when people are traumatized, that increases the risk of addiction. And if you want to know why the First Nations population in this country, it's because they're the most traumatized segment of the Canadian population. Historically, I don't suppose I have to tell you about that, but the fact that in the prairie provinces, I'm not sure what the percentage are in Alberta, but I know in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, I know the percentage is high. I don't know how high it is in Alberta. This is in a population. Parenting practices of First Nations people across the world, they're actually superior to those of industrial societies according to all the research, unless they're traumatized, in which case the trauma is passed on from one generation to the next. So when it comes to addiction then, what we're looking at is the impact of childhood trauma. Why? Let's just define an addiction. An addiction is any behavior, substance related or not, that an individual pursues because they find pleasure, relief, or they crave it temporarily, so they pursue it for the pleasure and the relief despite negative consequences, and they don't give it up in the face of negative consequences. I said any behavior, so that could be sex, gambling, eating, shopping, work, or substances. And if you ask yourself, by that definition, have you ever had an addictive pattern in your life? If you're like most of the people I speak with, if I ask that question, many of you would put your hand up. By that definition, if you ever had an addictive behavior. And then if you ask yourself, but what did that behavior give me? What did I like about it? Well, you'll tell yourself, it relieves stress. So when I'm very stressed, I go home and I eat a lot. Or I turn on the TV and I just veg out. Or I do drugs. Or I go shopping and I spend a lot of money. So, in other words, the addiction serves a purpose. It temporarily relieves stress. Or it distracts you from emotional pain that you're experiencing. Or it gives you pleasure that otherwise is not available to you. What I'm saying to you is that the addiction is never the primary problem. The addiction is always an attempt on the individual's part to solve a problem. The problem is why I'm having so much emotional pain, and how come I don't know how to deal with emotional pain? Why is there so much stress in my life, and how is it that I can't regulate my stresses without an addictive? Why am I lacking pleasure? If you're feeling shy and isolated and it takes drinks to loosen your tongue, what happened to you that you feel so scared of people? In other words, the addiction is not the problem. The addiction is actually an attempt at a solution. The problem arose hurt, because when people are traumatized, a number of things happen. One is they begin to feel themselves as deficient, because children are narcissistic. And I don't mean that in the sense of any pejorative about themselves. So when good things happen to a child, the child will assume, hey, I must be great because look at all these great things that are happening. But if bad things happen to a child, if the child is yelled at, or beaten, or sexually abused, or told to go to their behavior, or the parents are just depressed or unhappy or stressed, traumatized in their own life, the child thinks these bad things are happening because I'm a bad person. So then you have low self-esteem. That's the first thing that happens. The second thing that happens is that what we now know, and this is what we now know is that the circuits of the brain are actually shaped by early experiences, so that the brain isn't just genetically determined. Already in the uterus, what's happening to the mother, the child. So when the mother is stressed, in the baby's brain, and these people that are traumatized in childhood, they don't have the conditions for healthy brain development, and then they're going to have mental health problems, and then ways of compensating for those mental health problems through addictive behaviors. So whether we're looking at the low self-esteem, whether we're looking at the brain physiology, whether we're looking at the spiritual isolation of how alone the addict feels, it happened early in childhood. It's just a compensation. It's more problems. But where did it begin? It began with suffering of the young child. Now, as I said, everything I've seen, whether it was cancer, multiple sclerosis, or mental illness, or addiction, begins with childhood issues. Well, how can cancer begin with childhood issues, you ask yourself? A Canadian study showed that when children are abused, when they grow up to be adults, the risk of cancer goes up nearly 50%. Why? Because the abuse or the trauma creates coping. Now, one of the ways that we cope when children are traumatized, one of the ways they cope with it is to soothe them. But another way to cope would be is if you get the message that you're not good enough, that you are not worthy, then you might spend the rest of your life trying to prove that you are. And how do you do that? By being very nice to everybody. How you feel, because they might not like how you feel. By never expressing anger when somebody's crossing your boundaries. Worthwhile. That's why I was a workaholic doctor. Message as an infant, as a Jewish infant under the Nazis in the Second World War. I got the message that the world didn't want me. I wasn't good enough. Well, then you spend the rest of your life compensating by taking on too much. And you're stressing yourself. And those stresses have an impact on your physiology. They have an impact on your immune system. They have an impact on your heart, on your nervous system. They can cause disease. So the physicians think they're just random, arbitrary diseases. They're not random or arbitrary at all. They're the result of life stresses that result from a child's attempt to compensate. So typically, people with autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, cirrhosis, or colitis or Crohn's disease, or for that matter, cancer, if you look at their lives, what you notice about them is they've had great difficulty expressing their emotions. They were forbidden from doing so, so they can't. Saying no, so that when people ask them to do things, they automatically say yes, and they'll keep doing things even though they're very stressed by it. And then you end up with the body saying no, because they didn't, in the form of illness. I know this is, I'm not telling you proof, because my time with you tonight is too short, but what I can tell you, that is absolutely scientifically unquestionable, is that you cannot separate the mind from the body. So whatever happens emotionally will actually have an impact on your physiology, because the brain systems that regulate emotions are part and parcel of the same system that the immune system is a part of, the cardiovascular system is a part of, the nervous system is a part of, and the hormonal apparatus is all part of it as well. So whatever happens emotionally also immediately has an impact physiologically. And that's why you can't separate people's emotional lives from their physiology. You can also not separate people's physiology from their relationships. We know, for example, that children whose parents are stressed are much more likely to have asthma. And so that the more stressed and depressed the parents are, the more medication the child might need for their asthma. And why? Because the child's emotions have an impact on the child's physiology, and a parent's emotional states have an impact on the child's emotions. And if you want to look at it more broadly, what are we talking about? Increasing rate of asthma in North America these days? Or the increasing rate of ADHD and depression and all that amongst kids? What's going on? What's going on is that the parents are getting more stressed, and therefore the kids are getting more stressed, and therefore the kids are getting more sick. And it's not a question of the parents not loving their kids. It's not a question of blaming parents. It's not a question of parents not doing their best. It's the question is that because of economic circumstances and greater isolation, the breakdown of extended families, the breakdown of communities, all the uncertainties of modern industrial life, the parents are more stressed, and the more stressed the parents are, the more stressed the kids are. And when the kids are emotionally stressed, that also affects their physiology. Isolation. At the end of life, a number of studies have shown now that when people are emotionally isolated, they're more likely to get sick, and if they get sick, they're more likely to die. And so, for example, amongst elderly couples, when one of them is hospitalized, the other's risk for dying goes up significantly. Why? Because our physiology cannot be separated from our emotions, and our emotions cannot be separated from our relationships. So human relationships are actually necessary to maintain healthy human life. We're social creatures. It also means that in a society where kids are growing up increasingly without their parents, because their parents are too busy working, they have to, and where children are more and more without that support of the clan and the extended family and the community, you're going to get more people growing up in isolation. And then we try and compensate for that with our cell phones and our internet, which doesn't really do it for us, because for real intimacy, for really, you need human connections, not mechanical connections. And so what we're seeing is a whole set of dynamics that leave children more hurt and more isolated. As a result, there are many more problems that they try and compensate for through all kinds of behaviors. And the behaviors that lead to physical illness, like trying to be super nice and trying to always to suppress yourself and taking on too much stress, or the behaviors that try to compensate by soothing yourself through addictions, they all come down to what happened earlier in life. And I'm just writing an article right now for the Toronto Star on the recent election. And let me finish with just one final comment. I don't care what you think about Stephen Harper's policies. This is not a political talk. But one thing I can tell you is that so many people felt uncomfortable with him on the emotional level. Why did they feel uncomfortable with him? Because they looked into his eyes, and what did they see? They saw nothing. And people talked about his dead eyes. Now, you know what that tells me? That he was a traumatized person. Because a child's eyes go dead when what they're seeing is too painful. And the brain protects the child by shutting down emotionally. And then, when you're hurt emotionally, then one of the ways you compensate is you want to be controlling, and you want to be angry, and you want to be powerful, and you want to close your eyes, and your eyes go dead. And that's a deliberate decision. So here's what I'm saying to you. looking at politics or health or human behavior, whether you're looking at education, whether you're looking at relationships, children shows up in our adult relationships. So when I arrive from a speaking trip and my wife is not there to pick me up at the airport, and I have this pain and I have this anger, you know what that's about? That's about the fact that my mother abandoned me when I was a year old. Because to save my life, she gave me to a stranger. That's how it was. And that emotional memory of abandonment is still in here, and it shows up with the trivial trigger of my wife not being there at the airport to pick me up. So, all this stuff can be worked out, but if I can just summarize everything I've tried to tell you, the first few years are so important. And so if you have children, make those 3 or 4 or 5 early years the most important years of your life, to devote them to your children. And if you as an adult are suffering from depression, anxiety, addiction, illness, or whatever, go back to your childhood and find out how you were hurt and heal that hurt, and then you can heal yourself. Thank you.
Hi, hi. Oh, hello? Hold on, my assistant here. Forced. You're the best, man. Thank you so much. He's turn the lights on. He's gonna do everything. Okay, guys, we have before break. Listen, listen. If you think you're gonna go out, you leave your car. You don't get to take it out and try and stay out for the whole session and come back later. Here, because I have some real good door prizes. You guys are leaving your cards and you're not. I already have kids. My mom's coming to get me. My dad's coming to get me. Jeez. We're here to learn. We're here to learn. Can you make me louder a little? Okay, our last presenter before lunch, I have Nissi Miss, my sister. We're only 16 months apart. If there's me, then there's because we lost 3. And I honestly think a lot is linked to what we're doing today. It really is. And now all of a sudden, I'm the oldest sister. Okay, so here's my next youngest sister, Lindsay. Can we all give her a round of applause, please? Lindsay McDonald. Astam. Look, do we look the same? Do we look the same? Do you need this?
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see all your faces here. I was looking in the group, in the crowd. Some of you can just tell by who, looking at you, who you belong to, where you came from. But yeah, can you guys hear me? I feel like I can't hear myself. Hello? Hey, nice, awesome. Hi, hi. I don't like that noise. Okay, so my sister was talking about residential school traumas and all types of traumas that we experience as human beings. I don't want to say children, I don't want to say youth, I'm not going to say adults, as human beings. So, who here, my first question, has put up your hands, don't be ashamed. Who has been hurt physically? Who has been put down, called names, bullied, hurt by people you never thought would hurt you? All of you. And I don't believe for 1 second you didn't put up your hand. You're lying. And that's okay, That means ready to face the things that happen to you. First of all, I'm going to say a little prayer, okay? I want to thank you guys for your time. I want to thank you for this experience. I want to thank you for your energy, and I want to thank you in advance for allowing me to speak to you in this space. Archangels. It might not have been fair, it might not be fair, but still forgive yourself. Trauma can leave lasting imprints on the mind, body, and spirit, influencing how we feel and connect with others. Healing does not mean forgetting or erasing what has happened. It means learning how to carry those experiences in ways that allow for growth, strength, and peace. Alongside coping strategies and self-care practices that support mental and emotional recovery, nurturing spiritual health can provide grounding, comfort, and meaning. Whether through prayer, ceremony, connecting with culture, human nature, or personal reflection, practices help survivors reconnect to a sense of purpose and belonging. How many here think that or know or believe that they can overcome their traumas? How many of you will be dedicated? If I can tell you one thing right now, the only thing I can promise is you can do it, and it's worth it. It's so worth it. When you go through trauma, you're going to go through an ego death. It's not a physical death. An ego death is where your spirit is broken, where your soul collapses and you think you can't go on. And then you get lifted up again if you decide to stay here. And one thing I'm hearing about right now is suicide. Whoever has suicide in your mind, don't do it. Don't do it, don't think about it. That's not how we were taught. This world and suffer, and we're supposed to live through that suffering, and then we're supposed to pick it up and carry on. Okay? So balancing emotional, mental, and spiritual health, healing from trauma is not a straight path. Everybody's journey is going to be different. Everybody's journey is never going to be the same. We're unique to our traumas. It touches every part of who we are. Trauma can affect the way we feel, think, and even how we connect to our and the world around us. To restore balance, it helps to look at healing through three connected pillars: your emotional, health and your spiritual health. By attending to all three parts of ourselves, our mind, heart, and our spirit, we can restore balance, find hope, and move forward with renewed strength and wholeness. Anybody believe that? Yes? How many don't believe that right now? How many are so at feeling in despair that you believe you can't save yourself? One? You deserve to be here. If you were not here, you wouldn't be here. You got to speak life into yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. You speak life into your name. You were given this life for a reason, for a purpose. Please don't do anything to harm yourself. Your spirit is already suffering. And if you have friends and loved ones who see happening in you, you let them know you need help. You reach out. That's okay. So your emotional trauma often stirs up overwhelming fear, anger, grief, or numbness. Who feels numb? Who feels numb here? Who ever lost a parent? Who ever lost somebody, a friend, an uncle, an auntie, a Muslim? Put up your hand. I want to see. How many of you missed them? None of us go untouched by grief. None of us. Or trauma. So, I'll take something away from the message today, right? Okay, so emotional healing, compassion, what I just said, yourself. If nobody's going to do it for you, you do it for yourself. You pray for yourself. Feel without judgment. The hardest critic that we will ever face is our ego. It's not our friends, it's not our bullies, it's us. We're the hardest on ourselves. The hardest I've ever been, the hardest person who's ever been tough on me was me. I let myself get down because of my trauma, and because I was so hard on myself. I had no compassion for myself. And that's not what we're supposed to do. I almost let my trauma get me, but I was saved. So leaning on supportive relationships that remind us we are not alone. You know where my trauma took me was not speaking to my sister for years. 7 or 8 years we fought. And I don't even remember what for. What the heck? Why'd we fight? But I'm not fighting her no more. And you know what I'm learning? Because I reached out to my sister. We're closer than ever before because we lost our 3 sisters, like she said. We're losing more and more. We have one little sister who is angry at us, but that's because she's still living in her own traumas. That's besides the point. So yeah, you're not alone. She's one of my main support systems right now. So ways to begin your emotional healing journey. Healing from trauma takes courage. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened to you. You will never ever forget it. You won't. You will have flashbacks, you'll have visions, you'll cry. But when you get those, it's okay. It's a normal process. It's normal from remembering your experience or experiences. It means learning to take steps that bring peace, balance, and strength back into your life. Here's some suggestions to help you start your own healing journey. Number 1, talk about it in safe spaces. Do you guys have a safe person to talk to, a safe space? How many of you believe that you have somebody to talk to bring your stories to? Good. Good, that's more than I thought. Good for you guys. So share your story with someone you trust, an elder, a knowledge keeper, a counselor, family member, or a close friend. If words are hard, you can use drawing, writing, or music to express. How many? Any of those? And have they worked? Do they work? Yeah? Awesome. I see. Adults, teachers, this is for you too. Okay, so ways that I was guided towards was going to a family member. I didn't have friends. I pushed all my friends away. I pushed my kids away. I pushed everybody away. Um, so part in traditional practices, ceremonies, or teaching that effort and connection. I know the school offers these types of things, and you need to utilize them, the resources that will save you. Learn or practice your language, songs, or dances. These can help. Spend time on the land. There's camps out there. I believe there's something called the bear camp. You know, all those types of things you guys should. Powerful healer, go for a walk, sit by the water, smudge outside, or simply spend time listening to the sounds around you. Remember that the land holds teachings and can give you strength. So I kind of don't want to keep talking, so I'm gonna give the please. If I hand you the microphone, I need you to speak. Find it in your voice, okay? Find it in your voice to read these out.
Care for your body. Trauma lives in the body. Moving helps release it. Try sports, dancing, running, or even stretching. Eating well and resting enough gives your mind and emotions the energy they need to heal.
Establish daily routines that help you feel safe and in control, like journaling, breathing, exercise, or listening to calming music before bed. Routines can bring comfort when life feels unconcerned.
Good job, thank you. Don't be shy. What am I reading? Calm down.
Practice self compassion. Remind yourself it's okay to not be okay. Healing takes time. Try not to judge yourself for your feelings. Be gentle with yourself just as you would with a friend.
Seek guidance and support needed, whether from a healer, a counselor, or support group, or a trusted adult. Remember, needing support does not make you weak. It shows in caring for yourself.
How far does this thing go?
Art, beadwork, music, journaling, drum telling can be ways to release emotions and turn pain into expression. Create feelings into something meaningful.
Build positive connections. Surround yourself with people who lift you up and remind you of your worth. Peer support groups or youth circles can be safe spaces where you don't feel alone in your journey.
Number with hope. Healing is not about rushing, it's about small steps forward. Think about goals or dreams you'd like to move towards, even little ones, and celebrate your progress along the way. So here's a note to yourself. If you don't want to say it out loud, say it along with me and say it to yourself. This is how you're speaking life back in. I am not defined by what happened to me. I carry strength, culture, and identity that no trauma can take away. Healing is possible, and I don't have to walk the path alone. I will not walk this path alone. My ancestors prayed too hard for me to suffer in silence. I will seek help. I hope you guys said that inside yourselves. That's how you speak life back into your spirit. Okay, so spiritual health, healing is not only about the mind and emotions, it also includes be a powerful source of strength, offering comfort and meaning when the world feels heavy. This is the form of prayer, ceremony, cultural practices, connection with nature, or personal reflection. For many survivors, spirituality restores hope and reconnects them with a deeper sense of belonging and purpose. So instead of me reading the next slides and shows, I need ideas from you guys. What are ways that you can work on your spiritual journey, your healing journey? Can I get hands up? Ideas? What's your idea? Praying. That's number one. What's your name? Kaylin. Prayers is number one. You have to have faith. You have to find something to lean on to help your journey. I see somebody back there. Yes, writing your story. You can write your story down. You don't have to show anybody, but as long as you let it out, that's another outlet that works really, really well. Hi. Oh, it's not reaching.
Through all the stuff that I went through in my lifetime since I was young, I've had to learn to forgive. Even if the other person did harm to you, you have, in order for you to move forward, you have to be able to forgive the other person.
Absolutely. What do you use last name? Mas Escapo. I love this woman. She taught me when I was in nursery and kindergarten, and she's still here. My goodness. Good to see you. I thought you were one of the students. Forgiveness is the hardest thing to do. The people who traumatized me, I had to forgive them. It took me years and years and years, even when they went to jail. I still couldn't. I thought that would help me if I got justice, but it didn't. I was still angry, I was still mad until I really had to forgive them because they didn't know any better. Hurt people. And I know lifetimes they were hurt. Forgiveness is the toughest thing you're going to have to do, but you're going to have to forgive yourself too. That's also hard. Yes, you do. You set yourself free because you're in bondage when you allow your traumas to hurt you. So I seen another hand. What else? Who else? Yes, you back there. Researching their stories? Yes, that's a really good one. You know, that's something I utilize and that helped me in my own story. I can't speak for anybody else. That's why I keep bringing it back to my own. Was I researched to people similar experiences as me and survived. And those are the ones, they don't even know I looked up to them. They don't even know I practically stalked them. I stalked them, I researched them, and I was like, she went through something similar, she's okay, I'm gonna be okay. You know, they gave me life without even knowing. Okay, what's something else? Anybody else? What's your idea? Your spirit come back to life. Anybody? Okay, I'll get to you soon.
I think it's important to find your voice.
Really, really important to find your voice. One thing that happened to me when I was going through my experiences, it was like I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't even look at anybody. And I was forced to do that, you know? And guess what? Now I can't shut up. For real. I can't. But it's good because I was suppressed myself for so long. Now the Creator gave me a voice to help other people. And I do it every day. And it's really good because I love to help people. It's really good to do that. I don't do things for other people. Okay. You wanted?
I was gonna jump in connection, but I think you said you didn't do that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Having a strong bond can help you, help you bring yourself up.
Yes. Find your people. We are as humans are not meant to be alone. We're not. We're not built to do that. We're here to. If you get red flags, and when you're talking to someone, if you feel like they're gonna go tell your secret, what happened? Hello? I pick. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. I know there was somebody back there too. Just go.
Working out.
Oh yes, I see Mrs. What do you use, Ryan? I see Miss Ryan every day on. Yeah. I'm like, so good for you, but I can't do that. That's something that can't help me. Lighting up your future? Yes, good one. Planning your future to stay motivated. So, what do you want to be? What do you want to do when you graduate? Don't limit yourself. Do not limit yourself because that's not what we're supposed to do. If you want to do something, get it done. If that, because again, I'm not trying to put the focus on me, but I went into teaching. My parents tried to make me be a teacher, and I said, hell no. Why? That's for her, not me. And they were like, okay, well, can you? So we come from a family of teachers, right? And I said, no, I have my own kids. Why will I go deal with other people's kids? That's how I seen it at the time, right? And I see now I do want to help kids, but just not in a school setting. And I do. So, yeah, planning your future. Sorry, I went through a brain fart there. I'm a carpenter by trade. I have my I'm a fourth-year carpenter. I took it further and became a certified home inspector. And then now, I don't know how many I believe, but I'm a psychic medium. I am. And it's tough for me to turn things off because I manifested to talk in a crowd like this about what I time in the place. I'm working my way up there. I am. People need me. So don't limit yourselves. 20 years ago, did I think I was going to be doing this? No. Hell no. I was an atheist. I really was. I believe we didn't go anywhere, and when we die, we die. We don't. We live on. We continue going. But I know somebody back there also had a question. One more will do. What's it? Use your voice. Don't be shy. Closure? Yes. You guys will eat anyway. Don't worry. So closure, that's a really good thing to have. You will never, sometimes you will never get closure from what happened to you. Not gonna say, "Oh, I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry I put you in a hospital. I'm sorry I damaged your spirit." You're never gonna hear that. You never will. So that if there's anything I can tell you, is anybody listening? Thank you. So you're never gonna get closure. Sometimes you might, but I can almost guarantee you won't. Don't look for it. Don't wait for it. The people who hurt me never apologized, and they never will, and that's okay. So the only closure that you should be seeking is from yourself. Okay, you tell yourself, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry we allowed ourselves to be in this position, but we but still forgive yourself. Give yourself that closure. You'll find it in our ways. You'll find it in our culture. That's what I did. And 10, 15 years ago today, you wouldn't find me doing this. You would find me being depressed, locked in my room, finding ways to hurt myself, not thinking of my kids. So, yeah, I didn't even get to go through half our message, but thank you for your energy and your time and for listening. Okay? So, thank you.
Hi, no. Sit down. I just got one thing left to say real quick. No, I'm only throwing to the sections that were listening. I better not see these laying around anywhere. Gee whiz. You know I play ball? Do you guys know I'm a ball player too? Hold on. Catch. What's the gods can't even catch? Nina! Let's see if I'm good. How good I am. I'm going right above Amina. Right there. Nope, no good. Listen, guys. And I still have more. You'll be getting them back when you come back. When you come back from lunch, you need to make sure you have your card. Okay, how was the morning? Good? Awesome. I'm glad. We have even better things coming up this afternoon. Go have your lunch. Listen, please get in here at 1:15 and don't make me do the countdown today. I have extra support out there to bring you guys in. Go have a good lunch. Nugam, can you go and say a prayer for our lunch? Don't even eat yet. We need to pray for our food. Yeah, you better come back for those. Did you get a card? Don't do just till after. You gotta attend all day. Not even. Not even. Behave yourselves. We have lots of visitors in the building. Show them what good kids we are. Show them how good we are.
Say shout out to anyone at home?
No.
Too shy?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. You excited for the door prizes?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want to win?
That one.
You always a PlayStation. Oh. So how are you enjoying your presentation?
I don't know. How do you think I did?
It's like really amazing. I'm learning a lot too. I'm just like, holy, it's a big recap. And yeah, and even your sister, you guys are very.
Thank you. 'Cause you know why we're inspiring?
Why?
Because we had to go through it.
That's very.
We really had to start our healing journeys for us to be able to stand up here to talk about anything, you know? It's been hard, crazy, but like she said, it's worth it.
Yeah, in the end, it only makes you guys really strong, you know? So,
Thank you.
Inviting us.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. What about you? Sorry if I'm interrupting.
Yeah, that's okay.
How did you enjoy your
Thank you. I loved it. I was supposed to go through three things: the spiritual, mental, and emotional, and I only got through the first one and a little touched base on the second one.
Yeah.
But it was good. As long as the message got through. I wish I had more time, but you know, it's okay. I hope took some stuff away and learned from it, and it was really good. I'm for the experience. Also, just the staff and students learning how to navigate through their own lives. It's always really good to see. I'm so glad the students engaged the way they did.
Me too. That's what I was gonna. Participating, you know, that says a lot. It's like the right.
Yes, I think so. I think it is. I seen a few of them that had and everything, but by the end of it, they were sitting up and listening, and and it got their attention, and I just hope that they utilize some things that I said.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Very powerful. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. What's your name?
Oh, my name's Aisha.
Cool.
Aisha Bull.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I
Nice
didn't
to
get.
meet you.
I was kind of
And
busy.
Lindsay.
Lindsay. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you. Yeah. Well, that's the interviews today, guys. We're just gonna have some lunch, go enjoy some munch, and we'll be right back. You wanna say hi?
I'm gonna have some babas and some num nums, and then I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
All right, you heard it.